I'm looking forward to it being recognized as such on an institutional level, because I think, what we've experienced as well is that institutionally, raising funds against co-living as a sector is, traditionally is fairly challenging. But I think that as it becomes recognized as a real asset class, it becomes an entity of its own. And the other thing is that it might take more of the form of micro apartments with major facilities, right? I think that's probably the big shift for co-living. If I had to define it, it was a cottage industry that's becoming micro apartments together with vertical village facilities.
Christine here with another fun episode of the Co-Living Code Show. Airs every Wednesday. And I wanted to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, ISL Furnishings. They're a brand created through Inner Space Living, and they're all about creating exciting spaces where design meets function. They've actually done quarters in Star City. So they've definitely done some big communities, some awesome stuff. You could see the pictures on their website. Inner Space parlayed its success in commercial grade unit furniture and conceived an elevated offering. And they strongly believe in the co-living industry, which is cool. And they were founded with the mission to bring your brand to life. Their goal is to revolutionize the unit furniture experience. And driven by creativity, ISL Furnishings believe that interiors should inspire brilliance. Every venue has its own voice. They exist to clarify that voice, interpret your brand vision, and deliver quality on time, every time. And like I said, yes, they've done Star City and quarters, but they've also done smaller communities. They can do 10 beds and up. And you can definitely check them out at islfurnishings.com. So this week I am excited to bring on Moritz with BlackBrick. They're out of South Africa. They started their first community in Johannesburg. They just opened. I had the pleasure of working with them late last summer. It's just a really cool concept, and you're going to see that. Definitely take the time to check them out online. It is a gorgeous, amazing community. I'll read his bio and we'll launch into the episode. Moritz is the founder of BlackBrick, a new co-living concept focused on the live, work, remote trend rolling out in South Africa, the US, and Europe. BlackBrick is a live-work residential community, having opened its doors with the first property in Johannesburg, South Africa on November 1st of 2020, and now has a further 3 locations under development. BlackBrick sells their apartments as condos to individual investors, and its first development sold out 90% of its 208 apartments within 35 days of launching in 2019. On the back of that success, Moritz and his team have launched a further 3 locations in December, totaling 1,183 apartments. The next target is to secure a further 11 locations by the end of 2022. That would be including Los Angeles, Austin, New York, and Lisbon. BlackBrick aims to have 50 locations by 2030 with 50,000 members. Moritz grew up between Germany, Italy, and South Africa, exposing him to a nomadic lifestyle at an early age. And so his mission is to build a network of living communities, which empowers people to live freely between cities and to become the best version of themselves. Moritz has been an entrepreneur for 14 years, starting an online student social network at the age of 21, and in recent years focusing on the hospitality and property development industries. And before we get started quickly, we are interviewing all this month for our next season. So definitely reach out if you haven't been on the show yet and would like to, or if you want to suggest somebody to come on, or if you want a repeat guest. I'm definitely reaching out to a few of them this month to come back on and give updates. Definitely reach out to myself or our team and we will see what we can do. Okay, so let's launch right into this interview. Okay. Finally bringing Moritz on with BlackBrick. This is an incredible program or property out in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to the show, Moritz, and would love for you to share the view you just showed me of your guys' sunset. It's about 7 p.m. over there. So if you want to give us a quick tour. And he lives in BlackBrick 1, which is cute because, yeah, you've got BlackBricks behind you. So look at that.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is our theme. And I'm in my apartment here at BlackBrick 1 with 208 apartments. I'm on the 5th floor. And we're currently experiencing a sunset. I'll take you onto the patio. Couple clouds here today, but it gives you an idea of Johannesburg, the
What a
Johannesburg view.
great view.
And there's a bit of the building that you can see there.
Nice. I love that. We should do that on every episode where the operator's living on the property and in the
We should
community.
always do a walking tour.
I
The
know,
walking
right?
tours are great.
They are, they are. Oh, speaking of which, do you guys have virtual tours set up yet?
Yeah, we do. We actually do about 50% of our condo sale viewings through virtual tours now. So yeah, that's become very popular in this time.
Are you guys using Matterport or which software?
No, we're onboarding Matterport now for our new properties in Cape Town, Umhlanga, and BlackBrick 2 in Johannesburg. But now we've got agents running around with cell phones showing the property in a live tour. It's actually quite personal. It's quite nice. Guys will have questions, and there's a lot to see in the building, so they have questions about specific facets of the building and the facilities. So then we pause and we explain what happens in those areas.
That is such a great tip for people like watching or listening to this right now is yeah, great. Metaport's amazing. So shout out to them and they've sponsored the show before, but also the having that option. Okay, here's a virtual tour, but then below it saying, hey, if you want a personalized, tour of somebody walking through, you want to ask questions. That's kind of a cool part too. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think personalizing the experience is important. It is a very personal purchase, whether it's an actual investment into one of our condos or whether it's living here for a period of time. It's a very personal interaction. So people have very specific needs and very specific questions that need to be answered by human beings, we believe. So yeah, it's certainly one of our softer touches.
That's nice. And then I'd love for you to dig in deep and into detail about how your offerings, right? How they could be purchased or rented.
Yeah, so we control the entire value chain or the user journey from end to end. That's been our big commitment from the beginning. It hasn't been easy because it means that you have to have many divisions that produce a service excellence that um, we're known for. I hope, but we do the development ourselves. We do the sales of the condos as investment properties. We do the what we call the letting, either on the short stay or the long stay. So people can stay for one night, they can stay for 1 month or a year, or they can purchase and live for however long they want. And then other products in the value chain include the club membership, which are available to external members, we call them. So people in the neighborhood where we are that don't necessarily live in the building, but they live in the area, so they are able to use our facilities and be a part of the community. That's how we build the community in the local community. So you're able to be a member. Then we have on-demand services on the property, from laundry to massage to accounting services to personal trainers. We basically have taken the approach that we would like to create an environment for our members, whether they be residents or day members, that everything is taken care of for them. The admin of life is sorted, and they can just focus on what it is that they do best. So we've tried to tackle everything that you might need, from dietary requirements. We've got 2 restaurants in our building to choose from. We have, as I mentioned, laundry services, and many on-demand services that are not even on site, but that we pull in when needed, just to make sure that our members' lives are taken care of end to end.
I love that. What are some other services you guys pull in?
So we do a lot of, our product is very much based on career acceleration, health and wellness, and mindfulness. So along those three categories, we pull in neighborhood experts, guides, for example, that will take a group of entrepreneurs to the next level, or a yoga instructor that'll come on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. You can get your haircut in your apartment. You can have a sports massage done in your apartment. Some of the other facilities that are physical in the building include co-working spaces. We're very big on that. Career acceleration is one of our cornerstones, and we're positioned as a USP. We're positioned as a live work product. So we're very much geared towards the member who wants to be able to live and work in the same place, but properly. So the issue that exists in a lot of properties, whether they be traditional or in the co-living space, is that the infrastructure is not adequate to the level that they can be as efficient or productive as possible. And it's simple things like high-speed internet that is reliable, redundancies around high-speed internet, making sure that the co-working spaces that we do have are in fact real workspaces, not just a small hot desk that is in the middle of a lobby and noisy. It's an actual big full-on desk that has now we've installed COVID screens in all of our desks, and that have PowerPoints on the desks and all of the services that you require around that, such as professional printing. And as I mentioned, a lot of the support services that go around doing your work. So if you're an entrepreneur with a small business, you might not know anything about accounting or tax. So, you actually don't know where to turn. So we have experts on hand that can assist you and guide you through that process. Some of the other things include, of course, we have got boxing gyms. We call them boxing gyms, but they're full-on gyms with a focus on boxing. We have rooftop bars for social gatherings. We've got yoga, rooftop yoga studios, and meditation gardens. What else? A dining lounge, which is an interesting one because when you live in a smaller apartment, studio, or one bedroom, say 40 square meters, your personal life is adequately taken care of, but your social life can't necessarily live in that space. So you cannot entertain more than 5 people at a time. So when you do, and that's often the tension that exists in living in a small apartment. Say, but I can't entertain. I cannot have people over that more than 5 people. It's uncomfortable. It's like weird and claustrophobic. So what we've done is we've got a number of venues, but one of them which excites me is called the dining lounge. And the dining lounge is a space which can host about 50 people, and it has a 22-seater dining room table with a full-on professional bar set up, a pool table, a lounge. So it's an area that you can book out for yourself and your friends and then entertain. If it's your birthday, if you want to have a dinner party, you can go down to the dining lounge. You don't have to worry about inviting people into your personal space.
And you made such a good point of, obviously you're right. You can't have dinner parties unless it's like less than 5 people, if that, in a studio, just to have that option, right, in your building. So it kind of covers everything. I have to admit, South Africa you guys were a little late when it came to co-living communities, but you guys are doing it right. Like everybody listening, you guys are just giving so many amenities and unique common areas. You guys are like covering everything, which is great.
Yeah, we're trying to. At the end of the day, this came from many years of being in that boat of frustration. As an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur for 14 years, so I can remember 10 years ago, the infrastructure just wasn't there. If you don't have a network, if you don't have access to funding, if you don't have an office because you're a startup, it's difficult to be consistent, to be productive. And so, the concept really came out of that phase of frustration and we said, let's design a product that really solves people's problems, not just a tick box on a list that you say, oh, this sounds great. It's a cool, funky design, and there's a restaurant, there's a bar, and go for it. No, we said, well, what do people really need? What do we need as entrepreneurs? And we said, well, let's scratch our own itch and build this thing for our purposes. So we've really just thrown it's been a dream, like a dream come true to build exactly what it is that we wanted. So we're happy that other people are appreciating that too.
No, and I definitely want to dive into your guys' quick growth. I know when I was consulting with you guys late summer, I believe it was, you guys were just about to open that property up, 208 units. I know you guys were excited about your aggressive, future roadmap and, actual how many units you guys were going to open. And, during COVID, maybe that would have been, a scary thing. But now I would love for you to talk about how many more properties you guys have under agreement and how many total apartments.
Yeah. So, when we met, we only had the one property, and we were looking to grow aggressively, but we hadn't opened a property yet, so we didn't have proof of concept. We had done very well in the condo sales. We sold something like 90% of our 208 units in 35 days. So that was a great starting point, let's say. And that success took us to a market which was very interested in what we were doing, but they wanted to see proof of concept. And when we opened our doors, they could see we can operate and we have the ability to execute on what we promised. And so the opportunities came knocking. And so within the space of literally, I would say 3 weeks, we closed 3 deals, maybe less than that. It was a crazy time, November, December, where we thought, okay, we're winding down for the year, giving everyone a break. Let's start again in January and then, go for it. But that wasn't the case. And, we had these opportunities that we secured. And so we have one property in Cape Town now, one in Umhlanga, which is in the east coast of South Africa. And then we have another one here in Johannesburg. So in total, I think we're sitting on about 1,180 units under development. And that's the secured pipeline. So that's what we have under development. And in fact, we're opening Cape Town in 2 months' time. Actually opening, not launching for sales. We're selling currently, but we're actually opening the doors. We came in later on the development cycle there, which was great for us to be open doors there. But going forward, our raise, which we concluded this year, basically allowed us to now go into aggressive growth mode, where we're securing, by the end of 2022, we should have 15 in total in the pipeline, or secured within the pipeline. And then from there, we'll reevaluate. But we've got downtown LA in our sights, Lisbon in Portugal, and we'd like to be in places like Austin and New York City as well. But we're very grateful for the rapid growth that we've experienced over the past 2 months.
That is amazing. In Austin, I know we were talking about before we hit record. We actually have 2 housemates here gearing up to move to Austin. So many people. I mean, you guys read the articles, some of the tech, Elon Musk, like everybody, if we're in lockdown in California for this long and paying so much in taxes and rent, it's like, okay, let's just go to Texas, no state tax. But, Austin's getting a little pricey too, though, but not as much as over here. So people are going over to Austin. So that's an amazing location for sure coming up. So I'm excited to see that.
I think that point is so interesting. The arbitrage that exists between living in places and working in other places, or for other places. So, the one good thing that's come out of COVID, I would say, is that the acceleration of the work from home, or the nomadic or mobile working market, right? So, I mean, we've had the technology for ages, Zoom, Skype. It's been around for a long time, but there hasn't been a corporate adoption. It's always been these outlier freelancers or smaller entrepreneurs that were, mobile and working remotely. But now it's really forced people to communicate and work, I think, more efficiently with technology. I think the interesting gap that exists is that the real estate infrastructure isn't adequate for the phase of history that we're in. And so, you might be at home, I don't know, at your kitchen table, and you don't have, you've got a setup, and you've made a plan to be efficient. Not necessarily you, but in general, I certainly find that, even when I travel, I'm disrupted. When I'm traveling, I'm disrupted because my systems aren't adequately set up, because the hotel doesn't have X, Y, and Z, and the Wi-Fi is slow, and then I have to get this and that. So, the gap really exists to take advantage of this humongous shift to the digital work trend, right? And creating real estate solutions for that. So I think our product is ideally positioned for that, because that's our big focus, is living and working in a place, making it efficient, having work and life separation as well, So you're not necessarily, when you're living at BlackBrick, you're not working in your kitchen. You're living in the building, you're walking 20 seconds down the corridor, down the lift 3 levels, and you're in your office. So that's the kind of shift, I think, that we're certainly capitalizing on, and we think it's great. I think the way people are working now is obviously COVID has been a terrible phase for us all, but from a market shift point of view, we're quite excited about what's happening in the digital space.
That's amazing. And for those 90% that purchased a condo, are they living in them too, or are they going to rent them out?
So since then, we've sold out completely, and we're moved on. So I would say about 80% of the people who have purchased as an investment, and 20% are owner occupiers. And so that brings us to the second piece of our offering, which is that we tenant the building on behalf of our investors. So we manage it, tenant it, curate the members, and look after them on an ongoing basis.
And then do you guys have lease term minimums?
No, we have separations in the building currently in this one. So we'll have, for example, the ground and the first floor are dedicated to 1 to 90 days, and then say the second to the fifth floor are dedicated to anything above 3 months. So, because your transient customer, can have certain different behavioral traits such as noise, and it's also quite disruptive for a resident to have someone who's only staying in for a night. There's not the same kind of ownership of your environment. So we had to separate that. But it's an interesting thing we're playing with, because in the second one we're looking to mix it up a bit and see what happens. But we have both of those options.
Ooh, I like that. That's a cool idea too. Because you're right, the long stay people, they want to get to know their neighbors. As the neighbors are switching over every couple of days, like a hotel. So you almost separate it that way. That's really cool. And then what's the demographic, like age, profession, male, female?
So our age range for investors is between, I would say, 30 to 45 on average. Young professionals in the area that see property as a safe haven and like the brand. They invest on a regular basis, and so we form part of their portfolio. What's actually become an interesting movement is that we've got repeat investors. So, for example, a guy that will buy one property here will then build his portfolio with us. So he'll say, okay, next one you do, I want one there, I want one there. So that's a fantastic thing because they're following us almost to build their property portfolio. And then on the tenant the member side, the age is between 24 to 35, but hovering around the early 30s mark.
Nice. Okay. No, that's great. And then these investors, I mean, they obviously believe in the concept. So they're already expanding with you guys as you're expanding. So you guys will start filling
Yeah,
up the
crazy.
properties even quicker.
Let's
That's
hope.
awesome. And so let's see here. What are some favorite brands that you guys were kind of looking at that you guys really like, anywhere in the world, co-living brands?
Yeah, look, so we obviously have huge respect for our co-living peers around the world. The Collective, the Quarters, and Star City are doing amazing things across the globe. I would say that our inspiration lies more in the traditional brands, the hotel brands, because we're a residential property that's very much focused on a hospitality service. So one brand that really sticks out for us often is Soho House, and Soho
yeah.
House, not so much the exclusivity of it, but as a members club, but from a service excellence point of view, they're a benchmark for us, and well, we've appreciated a lot of what they do and try to offer something that is more accessible on that level. So service excellence at an affordable price, which is a very difficult thing to pull off, but that is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
No, those are all great brands. I swear we need to ring a bell every time Collective is mentioned.
And no, it's crazy. They're doing well, hey?
Yeah, they are. I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
So do you guys need, all this expansion? Are you guys looking for more capital?
We will be certainly in the international sense. I would say that we would raise on a property level. I think there's about 18 to 24 months now where we're really just focusing on what we have and growing to those 15 locations, but with the capital that we have. I think we've raised an adequate amount to be able to do that. But thereafter, we'd definitely be open to engaging with anyone who would be interested for a round after that, after we've completed that. Yeah.
Awesome. I know on the show, I'm trying to make the habit of asking all of the operators, do you need to raise capital? Do you need team members? Because of everybody that watches the show, it
Yeah.
gives good exposure for that. So that's my next question. Do you guys need to hire any team members?
Yeah, we're actually on quite an aggressive hiring spree in South Africa because we are looking to, in a sense, automate the operations here and establish them, or rather, let's say, stabilize them, so that myself and my partner can go into an international market and grow the brand. Internationally, we would look to take on people, depending on the traction of the international deals we're currently looking at. But I would assume that in the next 6 to 12 months, we would be looking to take on some heads, some clever heads in probably in LA and in Lisbon. But we still have to define who those are. I think if we had to have an ask of what we're looking for, it would probably be a call out to developers, across those territories who would be interested to partner with us on the brand. We can bring capital into the deal, so that's quite attractive, I think, for a lot of developers. But yeah, we'd like to engage with those developers because our model is, our background is as property developers in South Africa, so we understand it very well. But we've made the strategic decision to partner with local developers in territories that we're expanding to outside of South Africa. So, when it comes to LA, we were looking at a deal with a developer Same thing in Lisbon. So that's part of our model. So if there are any developers out there that would be keen to partner with us, we'd be open to having a discussion.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And obviously, your contact information will be in the show notes. And my last question for you would be, where do you see co-living as an actual industry globally in 10 years?
So, co-living as a sector has, I think, been misunderstood. In the early days of co-living, how people would perceive it was that it was, a small house with shared amenities and facilities, 5 to 10 bedrooms, and so that's how the industry. And you could speak way more about this than I, but that's my understanding, is that the beginnings of co-living were born in a very small scale, and where it's gone to, or where it's going, I believe, is on a larger scale, where you have hundreds of units within one development. You have extensive facilities within that building, and you also have a network of that brand across a territory or the globe. So I think that maybe the institutionalizing, or the institutionalization of the co-living sector is the big shift we're going to see. Also remembering that, two things. One, what I mentioned earlier, that the work-live demand is going to be exponentially higher than it was 1 year ago. So the people looking for a home solution that is really all-encompassing has exploded. Okay, and also the millennial market, which is having children later and later on in life, is also increasing the target market. So you've got these two major factors, these two major economic factors that are making our target market massive. Okay, it's almost unquantifiable at this point, but it is big. And so, when it comes to, for example, competitors, I'm very excited about the collective. I'm very excited about other competitors coming into the space, because there's so much room. There's so much room for this sector, and I think that, if you ask me what co-living is in 10 years, it is an established industry. As the hotel industry had become. So I think that I'm looking forward to it being recognized as such on an institutional level, because I think what we've experienced as well is that institutionally, raising funds against co-living as a sector is traditionally is fairly challenging. But I think that as it becomes recognized as a real asset class, it becomes an entity of its own. And the other thing is that it might take more of the form of micro apartments with major facilities, right? I think that's probably the big shift for co-living. If I had to define it, it was a cottage industry that's becoming micro apartments together with vertical village facilities.
No, I agree 110%. Multifamily, and especially in the US, it needed property management, multifamily. It's such an old, dated model. It's like, here's your apartment, that's it. Yeah, we've got a pool, yeah, we've got a gym, but they're not like building community at all. Like
Yeah.
friends of mine, everybody's like that live in those big, 300, 400 unit communities. They don't know any of their neighbors at all.
Yeah.
People aren't facilitating it. There's not that hospitality piece. Like, let's say that. And I think
Yeah.
you're right. That's where co-living is, the innovation of how to live, like the future of living.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, Moritz, thank you so much for coming on. Again, I know you
Thank you,
guys were trying
Christine.
to launch, and I was always like emailing, like, come on the show. But it makes more sense now that you guys have already launched. You quickly have proof of concept, which
Yeah,
is so amazing how quick you did it. So
thank
yeah,
you.
thanks again.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, Christine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. And keep in mind, we are on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And also, if you are a co-living community, you can reach out to us to be listed on the Kindred platform. That's KNDRD.io. It's a great way to showcase pictures, videos, virtual tours of your community. Also, we have a link in the show notes for our 3 books on co-living. You can also find one of them on Amazon.com if you'd like the print version. And lastly, a very quick shout out to our partners over at ISL Furnishings. They bring light to your vision and already work with some of the larger companies like Star City and Quarters. See you guys next week.